Yankees Files podcast. We are back. I'm Will Harris. You're Alec Whipple. And the rest of you are fans of the team that is still projected to be the best team in the American League by both the Fangraphs playoff odds and Pacoda, and also has the most wins in the American League, even though everyone's been acting like the sky is falling. Whipple, lot to come in this episode, our mid-season review of the New York Yankees. But first, how are you doing?
I'm good. As I was just relating to you, I got a new phone, and that's really cool. I'm not going to say why I got it. Just decided to get a new phone. But you know what? As I got a new phone and I reinvigorated my cellular plan, my phone browsing habits, maybe the Yankees have reinvigorated and injected some life into what was looking like a pretty bad 2 weeks. But
Maybe
I think
they have.
the takeaway is, I had my phone for a long time and it's a long season. Baseball is measured in weeks. My phone was measured in years. I'm going to stop making this work because it's not a very good metaphor. The point is the Yankees are going to be fine. The record reflects it. And even though maybe it's not as rosy and optimistic as it looked at a few weeks ago, by the standings, it's relatively about the same. And in the course of a baseball season, I think you could do a lot worse than having a pretty dismal week and a half and being relatively in the same position. Because we noted, the Yankees have played well. The Orioles have played well at the same time. They both played poorly at the same time. They're two good teams that are going to go through slumps and are going to go through extended hot stretches. They're both two good teams. And we know the Yankees, we know what they can offer at their best. Even when they're not at their best, we've seen what this team could do. I'm not worried. I still really like a team with the greatest right-handed hitter over a 50-game stretch in history. I saw that today.
Pretty good.
So, yeah. Not too bad.
Yeah, the Yankees are good, man. So just a programming note before we get started in earnest here. Today will be our mid-season review, and then we will be taking a summer hiatus. I'm getting married. Whipple is working his fancy law job, and that has created many obligations, or those things have combined to create many obligations that make podcasting and watching every baseball game and things like that a little more difficult. So we'll be back for the trade deadline, but we will not be back before that. You'll be in good hands, good and capable hands with the rest of the Crosstown Sports Network. But this will be the last episode of Yankees Files until later this month.
Except for the, whatever, maybe minute or 30 seconds.
There may be wedding content. Yeah.
There might be some wedding. So that's all in the next month. I think you'll all have to be happy with some live in-person wedding content. I promise you, it's better than whatever we talk about in that time. Like, we'll make it entertaining for that minute or whatever it is.
You have no idea how many people who are coming to the wedding have been like, wait, I'm going to meet Whipple?
That's what I said. Okay, so I was like, this is a relatively, I probably know, like, I don't know, maybe like 5 to 10% of the people, maybe 15 if we're being optimistic. But of the people who know me at this wedding,
more people know you than you know.
I feel like I'm a celebrity. I don't want to overshadow you, but I might have to hold like an autograph section.
You're probably you're no lower than the second most important person at this wedding, I would say.
I love it. I'll be signing at the balcony of the Ocean House from 7 to 8. So come through, but
that's wild.
Don't worry. He needs to get married. I mean, come on. What do you guys want?
It's true. All you need is love. Let's get into it, Whipple. We made some predictions, gave some awards, as we always do at the beginning of the season. And I think it's only right that we check in on those choices that we made and we give ourselves a chance to update or give those awards for the first half of the year. Although we're going to start with one that needs no change. We both picked Aaron Judge to be the MVP of the New York Yankees.
I didn't pick him. I picked.
Oh, you did pick Soto. I forgot about this conflict. All right. What do you have to say for yourself?
I have to say that it's awesome that there are two viable MVP candidates of the New York Yankees. Although I am not going to sit here and say Juan Soto has been better than Aaron Judge, I am
That
going
would
to
be
say that
crazy to do.
I'm happy that the player that I picked in 99 other, and intentionally picking the number 99 other, realities, where Aaron Judge just didn't decide to become better than the best player that, has been in the league, has been the MVP. I think Juan Soto is a perfectly respectful pick. I'm not going to apologize for it, but I'm also not going to sit here and double down on clearly the incorrect pick at this point.
It is wild that the guy who is hitting 303, 437, 568 for a 185 WRC plus and 5 WAR in the first half of the season is clearly not the best player on the team.
And I mean, I would love to sit here and make that argument. Like, I was gearing up for it, and you just can't. Like, I'm not going to do it. I just can't do it.
No, I mean, Aaron Judge in 370 plate appearances is at 31 home runs. His WRC plus is 214, which is completely insane. He has the highest expected weighted on base in baseball by a lot, over Juan Soto, who is the next highest. Like, it's those two guys. You want to talk about the story of the first half? It is absolutely those two guys. It's been dominated by Aaron Judge, of course, who just leads the world in everything and was my MVP pick. Just in case anyone forgot, I picked him. Whipple didn't. So, do with that what you will. But what an incredible thing to get to have both of those guys. And they both had injury scares, which I didn't like. So, wait, did Judge have an injury scare? Am I fooling myself? He did, right?
Hit. He got hit.
He got hit. Okay. For a second, I was like, am I mixing my years up? But just like, what incredible performances out of both of these guys. And I am just so pleased that they are both Yankees and that I picked the correct one to be the MVP.
I mean, I think I also was prepared to make the argument they're co-MVPs. And I feel like that's so generous. And it's like really hard to say, Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, as good as they've been, have been on the same level. Even though I feel like in any other year, if Aaron Judge was just maybe worse, Juan Soto is better, we could make that. Judge is just clearly better. Like, he has separated himself beyond the second best player in baseball. And we know he can do it, but to do it on this level and to do it compared to 2022, which, like, I was looking at the comparison numbers, and the fact that he's that much better than his 2022 pace.
Yeah, he was at like a 175 WRC plus at this time. Right. Yeah.
I mean, he did go nuclear in the second half of 2022, but just crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
Great player. Who was your Cy Young pick?
Who was or who is?
Was.
So I doubled down on my successful pick last year. And to be fair, this pick probably was not for the first half Cy Young.
So you picked Garrett Cole.
Yes, but I also acknowledge that might have been a little bit presumptive. I will say, though, I still believe he could be the end of the year Yankees.
No, I think he absolutely could be. I picked Stroman just because I thought he would have like a weird Linsanity thing happen. I don't know. You got to be ambitious in these cases. Marcus Stroman, I do not think really has been the Cy Young of the first half. Who would you give it to?
So, I mean, it's interesting because I feel like it has to be Heel, right? But Stroman probably is like top 3, top 2. What's your here more than the Cy Young? What would your like top 3 be?
I think the top 3 are Nestor, Heel, and Schmidt.
So you think Nestor is ahead of Heel?
I don't know if I think Nestor is ahead of Heel. I have Heel/Nestor written in my notes because here's the thing. Their ERAs aren't that far apart. It's 3.51 and 3.15. The ERA estimators have them as pretty much the same expected ERA, and they have the same FIP. Nestor has a better xFIP. Like, Luis Heel produces an extremely low BABIP. Some of that is luck. Some of that is that guys have a lot of trouble squaring him up. Like, based on performance, it was a lot clearer that it was Heel before he made his last 2 starts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nestor has been extremely steady. he's thrown 105 innings, which, like, if we want to give anyone credit for anything in this first half, it could be that a guy who has a reputation for not being able to throw a bunch of innings is among the league leaders in innings pitched. He has the most Fangraphs WAR. Luis Gil's obviously been electric. But I think there's an argument for Nestor. I'm very torn about who I think it should be, but like that Nestor Cortez is top 10 in Major League Baseball in innings pitched and top 25 in Fangraphs WAR. Like, it's really good. And I really like that. But also Luis Gil's been so cool and probably the most fun non-judge player to watch on the team, at least at times this year. So I find myself torn. Who would you give it to? Gil?
I gave it to Gil. I mean, it was interesting because I didn't look at them side by side. I kind of just looked at everyone on their own. And like the side by side, I mean, I didn't even realize their FIPS were identical. I guess I was just like assuming that Gil still had a lead in all of these categories, that clearly they are a lot closer. And I don't think, based on what you're saying, Nestor's wrong. I just feel like Gil was so good for so long. And like, I don't know if that's just my bias weighing like, oh, it was one bad start and the rest of them were like good to great. And I think Nestor is probably number 2. And I agree that Stroman, or you said Schmidt's number 3. I feel like Stroman or Schmidt could be number 3. But for me, like Luis Gil was the story of so much of the first few months. And the numbers back it up. I give it to him by a slight margin. I think for all-star voting, if one of them's making the team, it's probably Gil, right? I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I would say so.
No wrong answers. I mean, the rotation, while it has regressed, I think has really had a lot of surprises and great stories.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'm excited for Clark Schmidt to come back whenever that may be.
He's throwing. He's just started throwing.
I believe so.
I mean, I think he's going to be a big player in the second half. I feel really good about his contributions.
Who was your rookie of the year pick?
So my rookie of the year pick, I think, was Austin Wells. Yes,
mine was Austin Wells.
And I think it's clear that at least in rookie of the year, it's Luis Gil. I mean, Austin Wells just hasn't hit to the level that we know he can, even though he's hit better than his first few weeks. Luis Gil just being at the top of the league in pitching stats is better, even though I feel like Austin Wells comparably can get back into this rookie of the year race. Luis Gil is right in the middle of it.
Yeah, I think it's also Luis Gil, but I do want to carve out a little space to point out just how good Ben Rice has been since being called up. And if we were recording this episode, I don't know, a few weeks from now, I could imagine a scenario in which it's like, holy cow, I think we have to talk about Ben Rice's Yankees Rookie of the Year candidacy. Because Ben Rice has been like really, really good and making phenomenal swing decisions. And I like him a lot. And I think we should be excited about him. But yeah, it's Luis Gil. Don't want to overcomplicate things. I had Clayton Beeter in a lot of like my bold predictions, and I shouted him out in the Rookie of the Year. He hasn't pitched since May 15th. He's been hurt. So yeah, not Clayton Beeter.
That's frustrating because I think like when he got called up or made the opening day roster, it was kind of a thought that, okay, if he doesn't stick up, he'll be back pretty quickly. And yeah, the injury just poorly timed, especially given what's going on in the bullpen and just the uncertainty. But rookies in the American League, like definitely not a clear-cut favorite. I think Austin Wells or Ben Rice or whoever else could easily establish themselves.
Yeah, I think I don't even know who it would be right now. Wyatt Langford? Like,
I mean, I don't think he started off.
He didn't start off great, but then I guess he was hurt and now he's really good.
Still Mason Miller? I mean, I know that was the early favorite.
Yeah, I guess that's an interesting one. Let's see. I'm just going to check rookies with... Oh, I guess we have to consider the Orioles guys, right? Like, could it be Heston Kjerstad? Let's see. American League rookies with at least 100 plate appearances are led in Fangraphs WAR by Colton Cowser, followed by 2 Red Sox, Wilyer Abreu and David Hamilton. Austin Wells is 5th on that list. Wyatt Langford is 7th.
Colton Cowser's not really even hitting that well.
Yeah, he had like a big swoon and then he came back. Yeah, it really is not a great list. I'm going to be very interested to see how that goes. Let's see. Pitching side, it would be, it's led by Luis Hill, followed or basically tied with Mason Miller. Interesting. Well, we'll have to keep an eye on that. My comeback player of the year pick was Carlos Rodon. And that was looking really good for a while, but the peripherals were always scary, and the regression has certainly hit in recent starts. Although, after giving up those 2 home runs to George Springer the other day, he finished out that game really strong. He basically completely changed his pitch mix and was missing bats and getting ground balls and getting guys out. So maybe Carlos Rodon figured something out after this rough patch, but I would say he has not been the comeback player of the year thus far. And you kind of got to give it to Giancarlo Stanton, right? Like,
Yeah.
I can't think of another way to go.
I mean, Nestor's up there, definitely.
That's actually a great point. That's a great point.
I was between those two. I gave it to Stanton, but I think, well, my preseason was Anthony Rizzo, and I think that turned out even worse than your preseason pick. We did mention, I think we were between, honestly, I think we're between Stanton, Rizzo, Nestor, and Stanton, Rizzo, Nestor, Rodon. Were like, these are the 4 to be, and then we just picked the 2, I guess, that were probably the worst picks. Although I think Rodon, clearly, like, Rodon is, tale of, the good first like 15 starts, bad next 3 starts. He's the new AJ Burnett. You did make that argument, and
I did say that Carlos Rodon is the modern AJ Burnett, and AJ Burnett had that great start in the World Series. So if Carlos Rodon does that, he'll be in our hearts forever.
But I think Stanton, but I do think between the 2 of them, like, it could go either way. Just Stanton just seemed a little more like we were kind of right, or we collectively Yankees fans were writing off Stanton, I think, more than Nestor. Like, there was like less reliance on Stanton. I feel like he came out of nowhere a little bit more, and it sucks that he's out for a month because I mean, he really made that lineup a lot deeper. But hopefully he'll be back. The fact that
Stanton has 18 home runs on July 1st and hasn't played in like 2 weeks. Yeah, that's pretty good. Like, even as optimistic as I think I was about Stanton coming into this year, I don't think I could have imagined it going as well as it's gone. So I'm excited to have him back in the lineup for sure.
Yeah, and hopefully no more injuries by running and looking the wrong way or whatever. I mean, like, I was at that game and I didn't notice anything until Trent Grisham showed up.
It never makes sense.
But maybe this is what Trent Grisham needed. I mean, in other...
we gotta. There's things are happening on the Trent Grisham front, and I am probably owed some apologies. So I'll leave it there. Reliever of the year is where I started to get silly. I picked Nick Birdie just because, like, he was throwing crazy hard with crazy break, and I was like, oh, certainly, the Yankees will make something out of him, and he's been hurt. He's still hurt. He pitched a total of 9 2/3 innings. He was striking out 11.1 guys per 9 or 11.2 guys per 9 and pitching to an ERA under 2, but he was also walking everyone in sight, and then he got hurt. So Nick Birdie is not the reliever of the year. I think it's pretty clearly Clay Holmes. I don't remember who you picked at the beginning of the season, but you might have picked Holmes because you weren't just being an idiot about it like I was. Okay.
I wasn't being an idiot. I picked Ian Hamilton, and
that was a good pick, actually.
It looked good for the first month, and then COVID and wheels came off, and he had another injury before the current one. He's just been on and off the IL, and it's. I mean, I still think it's there, but just a tough year, tough June for Hamilton, and I mean, I think it's clearly Holmes. And the Yankees bullpen has just been really a place of a lot of turnover and people going up and down with injuries. And Holmes has been there the whole way through, and we've talked about him. He hasn't been, I think, as good as the first 2 months, but he's still been really good and
Clay
not really
Holmes
options.
alarmingly has the third most WAR of any pitcher on the Yankees.
Yeah,
So,
but
and only 2 healthy guys are ahead of him. But
I think Luke Weaver also could be the other guy to mention here.
yeah, so Luke Weaver was my breakout pick, which is where I was going to get to him, and I think he fits well there. He's pitched to an ERA under 3 and over 45 innings. He's striking out almost 9.5 guys per 9. He's getting phenomenally weak contact. Like, everything about Luke Weaver has been really good. Maybe the phenomenally weak contact was a bit of an exaggeration, but weaker contact than he's gotten at any recent time in his career, and a lower barrel rate than he's allowed in a long time, either with a lower hard hit rate than he's allowed in a long time. I think Luke Weaver has been a phenomenal success story for this team. It is the Luke Weavers, or excuse me, it is the Luke's Weaver, the Chad's Green, the Mike's King, who continue to demonstrate, the Ian's Hamilton, and those guys exist on a spectrum, but it's those guys who continue to demonstrate why we should trust the Yankees when they envision this role for a guy, and when they demonstrate confidence that someone can occupy this role. The fact that it didn't just happen with Chad Green, and there has been a new Chad Green whenever they've needed one, is an incredible accomplishment. And I don't mean to take anything away from Luke Weaver, who has, of course, changed things in his own game to fill that role and to do so as effectively as he has. But it's also just a credit to the Yankees that you can trade Mike King in the Juan Soto deal because Luke Weaver will simply become him. Like, what a luxury to be able to develop guys so consistently in that way that you can then use those guys to fill other needs on the team. I think that's awesome.
I mean, there could be an argument that Weaver is the reliever of the year. Like, I mean, I know we said it's clearly Holmes, but it's actually, I mean, just looking at it closely, there's an argument. They're not that dissimilar.
I think I hear you, and I love Luke Weaver. I wouldn't be all that mad, but I do think Holmes has been better.
Well, who is number 3 on the list of the best relievers on the Yankees this year? Who is your number 3?
Is it?
It has to be, right?
I think we're talking about the same guy, right? Michael Gulf of Tonkin.
I mean, talk about an inauspicious start.
Oh my gosh.
To just an absolutely nails. I mean, no other way to say it. He's
Michael
awesome.
Tonkin, 1.23 ERA, 2.92 FIP as a Yankee. Incredible.
Like, he went from being like the absolute last guy of the bullpen on the extra innings Milwaukee lost to pitching high leverage innings against like the Dodgers and the Braves. And I was just like,
I feel pretty confident with Michael Tonkin on the mound, which I never thought I would say.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's that might be more wild than any of the others just because of the way he looks, which is more like janitor or like car salesman than baseball player. So, but yeah, no, I mean, it's not a joke. He's legitimately the third best.
He's been terrific. Yeah.
So that's pretty
think we should be on the lookout for Tim Hill to make a run like that in the second half. I'm very, very bullish on Tim Hill.
You're staking your claim. I'll be interested to see.
So I just want to run through. We picked who we thought. Wait, sorry. Luke Weaver was my breakout pick. Who was your breakout pick?
I picked Luis Heel, and I feel very right about this one. Because Luis Heel, I think that's very fair to say. I mean, thank you. He was off the map.
Okay, I'm done. I'm actually done. Actually, my hands are up here. I can't do the thing anymore.
I mean, the guy was, again, demoted to minor league camp, was, I don't know if he was prospect, or he was prospect eligible because he's rookie of the year eligible. So, but like not somebody that people thought was going to come back in and do this. And I mean,
he hadn't pitched in years.
Right. He pitched in 21. He pitched a little bit in 22, and then basically like a handful of innings. And spring training looked great, but I think from the minute he took the mound in Arizona, and I think we both were like, what the hell is that? Like,
Yeah.
wait, this is Luis Heel? Like, I don't remember this. And it's just been great for him since then. I mean, Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, breakout pick. I think he fits in all three right now.
Yeah. He's been a delight, one of the highlights of the season for sure. I just wanted to highlight a few other things we talked about on the preseason preview. So we did some WRC plus over-unders. Aaron Judge, we had at 157, which I think was based on his steamer projection. The over is obviously hitting there. We both took the over. Gleyber was at 122. We both took the over. The under is hitting. Rizzo was at 114. I don't remember what we took, but the under's going to hit on that one. And Volpe at 99, I think we both thought was the hardest question. And the over's hitting right now, but it doesn't look like the over is going to be hitting for long. We had a protracted discussion about Anthony Volpe on the last podcast, but what a weird season he has had. And that over under is truly coming into focus right now.
Right. Still on about a 5 WAR pace, but very, interesting and a little bit worrisome the way things are trending.
Yeah, definitely. The win total over under, which I think now might be a little too low to be an interesting over under, hopefully so, was 90, which was the average of Pacoda and the Fangraphs playoff odds. I think we did both take the over. I think we would still both take the over. But suppose we did the same exercise now and we averaged Pacoda, which has them at 97.6, with the Fangraphs playoff odds, which have them at 96.3. So call it 97 win over under. That's a tough over under to have, even when they have, what is it? They've won 54 of their first 84 games. Pretty strong pace. But so it would require a 557 winning percentage over the rest of the season, which is a 90 win pace. So, all right, give me the over under. Do you have the Yankees winning games at over or under a 90 win pace for the rest of the year?
The over under. Oh, wait. So
because that's what it would take to meet 97 wins total.
Oh, I see. I'm gonna
97's a big number.
Yeah. I'm going to say over, but very slightly. I feel like I see them at like 97, 98. So I'll say over, but I don't feel like they're going to maintain their current pace. I think they're going to fall off a little bit more.
Yeah. 97's really tough, but I think they can do it. But over 97, I don't know. Maybe it's a push. I think I'll say they're going to win 97 games.
I feel like push, like 96 and 98. That's how I feel.
Oswaldo Cabrera over under 4 home runs was one that I gave you. That over hit on June 9th, which I certainly didn't see coming. But good for Oswaldo Cabrera, who we talk often about guys on the Yankees who get a lot of criticism they don't deserve. Oswaldo Cabrera might be the guy in the Yankees who gets the most praise that he doesn't deserve. Like, where else is a guy who has been worth 0 WAR in 212 plate appearances and has a 79 WRC plus being, where else are fans demanding that guy be starting every day? Doesn't make any sense to me, but good for Oswaldo Cabrera that is the goodwill that he's cultivated with Yankees fans.
Yeah, and I mean, don't look at the numbers after the first 4 games.
No, definitely don't.
Or even the first 3 games, because the 4th game is hitless. So we're really, it's a big sample size, and it's not good.
Stat leaders. we picked who we thought would be the team leader in WAR, ERA, WRC plus, average home runs, runs batted in, wins, and saves. At midseason, let's see if we were right or wrong. Team leader in WAR overall, I picked Aaron Judge. Who did you pick, Whipple?
I picked Juan Soto.
Okay, so I'm right. ERA, I think we stipulated starters.
Yeah.
I picked Marcus Stroman and was not right.
I picked, my notes say Stroman / Cole, but like I feel like maybe it was like I just acknowledged that Cole won't be pitching the first half, and I'd keep talking about him. But I said Marcus Stroman. So
yeah, and so neither of us was right there. I think depending on how you look at it, it's either Luis Heel or Clark Schmidt. Let me just confirm that, because yeah, so Clark Schmidt got hurt with a 2.52 ERA, but Clark Schmidt is also hurt. So do you have to give it to Luis Heel? I don't know, but we didn't pick either Clark Schmidt or Luis Heel. So, it is what it is. WRC plus, I picked Aaron Judge.
I picked Juan Soto.
Batting average, I picked Aaron Judge.
I picked Aaron Judge. But I feel like, honestly, yeah, I could see batting average be one that goes either way.
Home runs, I picked Aaron Judge.
I picked Juan Soto.
You picked, if Aaron Judge hits like 65 home runs this year after you picked him to hit fewer than Juan Soto, who has never hit more than 39, that would be kind of funny.
I don't feel bad though. It's like I didn't pick like
35. Stanton. He's never hit more than 35.
I don't feel bad. I feel like I feel honorable after picking Juan Soto. I don't feel.
You should, just not for home runs.
Fair enough.
There's a stat I'm gonna get to. Runs batted in, I had Aaron Judge.
I had Aaron Judge.
And you were correct. Wins is so ridiculous. I picked Carlos Rodon and I'm right. It doesn't make any sense. Who did you have?
Yeah, I picked Marcus Stroman.
Marcus Stroman feels like he should be right in that.
Yeah. Well, was it Brian Kenny who was the guy who was the first guy to say kill the win? And that
Brian Kenny was definitely a kill the win guy. And Luis Hill is tied with Rodon. Let's not shortchange him. And saves, we both had Holmes. It's Holmes.
Yeah. Yep.
It's going to be an interesting second half of the season, Whipple.
Wait. We got to review bold predictions.
Oh, we do have to review bold predictions. I think I'm 0 for 3. I'm definitely 0 for 2, or at least I'm expecting to be definitely 0 for 2, probably 0 for 3. Mine were Clayton Beeter becomes one of the 4 most trusted relievers. Feels like it could have been true. Maybe it's an incomplete because he got hurt, but it certainly didn't happen. I had Austin Wells as a top 5 bat on the team, but it's a good thing. This could still turn out to be true. Austin Wells is a top 5 bat on the team by expected weighted on base, so you never know what might happen, but he's certainly not been one of the luckier guys on the team. And finally, I have neither Alex Verdugo nor Trent Grisham gets a playoff plate appearance, but the Yankees are in the playoffs. They seem to really like Alex Verdugo in spite of the fact that his WRC plus since April 25th or whatever starts with a 7. And now Trent Grisham is making himself a very important part of the team. So I don't really see the situation in which they part with either of those guys. So I'm expecting to go 0 for 3, which would be par for the course for my bold prediction record. What about you?
Well, for a guy who likes Trent Grisham, your bold predictions was very anti-Grisham, and mine was pro-Grisham. So
I didn't think the Yankees liked Trent Grisham very much, which unfortunately has turned out to be true.
I don't think they liked him at all for the first month. And
yeah,
so I would say, I don't know. I mean, technically all mine are still active, but I feel like one is kind of not looking too good, but maybe that was just my fault. I said Garrett Cole will receive Cy Young votes. I thought he would come back a little bit earlier. Also, maybe in my optimism and, the hope springs eternal on opening day, I didn't fully think through the fact that there might be pains, not growing pains, like return, shaking off the rust. That's
Yeah,
the phrase I
you
was
thought
looking
he would come back and be like 2008 CC Sabathia. He was going to pitch every third day. He was going to only throw complete games, and his ERA was going to be 0.
Yeah, yeah. And I think I said I said he might get Cy Young votes. I said he's going to be the Yankee Cy Young. He still could be the Yankee Cy Young. I just don't know if he's going to be able to pitch that much to get Cy Young votes. But I'm glad he's back, so I'll take the probable L on this one. And if somehow I'm right, I will let you all know about it. Number 2, Trent Grisham will be a top 5 Yankees hitter by WAR, which looked pretty bad for the first 2 months or so. And now I think is possible. He has to keep hitting as he's been hitting for the last few weeks. But by WAR, it's certainly nobody's really, aside from Judge and Soto, moved away from the pack. And I think I mentioned last week, there's a lot of room for him to slide into spots number 4 or 5. If you assume Anthony Volpe is going to end up between 4 and 5 WAR, I think there's a lane for him. And I'll stake my hat in the Trent Grisham keeps hitting well. Stanton doesn't come back with the utmost expediency, and Alex Verdugo might keep playing poorly. I think there's a lot of opportunity. So I feel like that one still is a very big possibility.
Per plate appearance since the beginning of May, he's been quite valuable. He is 8th on the team in Fangraphs WAR in that time, despite being 12th in plate appearances. So, and one of the guys ahead of him is Stanton, who of course is not racking up WAR right now. So yeah, there's a strong case to be made for Trent Grisham, who has been really good for 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, last year he batted sub 200 with a
84 WRC plus or something.
Yeah, and he had 2 WAR. So there's definitely a strong possibility that this ends up being correct. But
being an awesome center fielder does a lot of good for you.
Right. We'll see. I'm still holding out hope for that one. The third one, as we mentioned last week, the Yankees, and this was on my parting shots, but for people who don't stick around till the end, I said the Yankees reacquired Chase and Shreve. This was part of my third bold prediction that the Yankees acquire a former Yankee. Now, I said to meet the criteria, the Yankees have to actually play that former Yankee. He needs to play on the team. So Chase and Shreve is a candidate. Again, we still don't know where Roned Odor is. And if someone knows, I ask again, please let.
I think people have said he's hurt.
Okay, that would make a lot of sense. I'm glad that somebody at least knows. But he is in the organization ostensibly and could be that candidate. The trade deadline's coming up. We will see. I'd love to see a David Roberts instant again because he's pitched pretty well.
I saw him pitch the other night.
What's that about? He's 41 and he could be a Yankee if the Rangers keep playing poorly. So a lot of opportunities there too. I'm comfortable saying my first one will fail, and I'm comfortable saying the second 2 are alive and well.
Yeah, I would say they're absolutely alive and well. And this is very much in keeping with the way our bold predictions generally go, which is mine don't hit and yours do hit. And now we just know earlier.
Yeah, if anyone wants to know what's going to happen during the year, just talk to me.
Ask
in April.
You.
I was right about Garrett Cole, and I'm going to ride that for a while, even though I was not right about Juan Soto.
Hey, Juan Soto's having a very good year. It's not your fault. Aaron Judge is the greatest player on the planet.
Right. The lesson is there are certain players you should never bet against. And I think Juan Soto is one of those players, but it only is superseded if one of the players who's even better than him is the subject of the betting. So that's my lesson.
That makes sense. I've
made a lot of money off of Eric Wright, listener of the pod, just saying Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole will be good. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to make money again. I don't know if we talked about that. The DeGrom Cole bet got renewed for another year.
I don't think I even realized the DeGrom Cole bet got renewed.
Yeah, no, it's when Cole got injured, it got renewed.
And Jacob DeGrom, just for everyone's clarity, has not pitched this year. He, in fact, has not pitched in Major League Baseball since April 28th, 2023 against the New York Yankees. So, yeah, I don't know if I see him racking up more WAR than Garrett Cole this year. Although he did recently throw a 15-pitch bullpen session, so who knows?
Good for him. Really, really happy. In that time, my ace won a Cy Young and got injured. But my ace
came
did
back.
My ace did what DeGrom did or likes to do: win Cy Youngs and get injured. He did it all at the same time and is now back again pitching. So
that's awesome.
That's how we roll.
So Whipple, we got some questions from some listeners and followers.
I love this new recurring question segment. They're not about animals.
I love asking for questions because some of them are always ridiculous and many of them are thoughtful. From Jacob at Jacob B Speaks, 2-part question. First part, or really 2 separate questions. First, how many bowls of rice do you think Ben Rice can eat?
Like, in what time frame?
That was my question. Also, how big are the bowls? If every bowl of rice only contains like 1 grain of rice, millions? I don't know, like a ton.
I think you got to know more, but no, we need more information to figure this one out.
But he's also a large man, so he can probably eat a lot of rice regardless of how big the bowls are.
His post-game meal is just individually aligned with 1 grain each. And he's really hungry because he just played really well.
And second, who would win if Aaron Judge and Gunnar Henderson got into a fist fight? My answer here, Aaron Judge is a pacifist. He doesn't want to get into a fist fight. He might not even fight back. He might just, he's also like 10 years older than Gunnar. So he might just be like, okay, and then just like Gunnar will tire himself out and Judge will be like, okay, that's all. I think that's kind of how I see it going.
Yeah, it'd be like, we don't really do that here. We don't do
fist fighting. We're going to get to that. Let's see what else we got from Name That Yank, at Name That Yank on Twitter. Who came up with the idea to have theme-based weeks on Name That Yank? For those of you who don't play Name That Yank, it's the greatest Yankees trivia game on Yankees Twitter. You should follow at Name That Yank and play the trivia game. I came up with the idea to have a theme for every week. So every morning you name the player, you identify the player, and then on Friday, you try to figure out what the common thread that connects all of them is. And I came up with the idea that there should be a theme, and I'm glad I'm being credited for it. And if you don't like the themes, I'm mad at you. But Whipple, you will probably have more to say about this second part, or the second question, which is, who's your favorite forgotten Yankees relief pitcher?
Okay, I wasn't prepared for that. I mean, my favorite forgotten Yankees relief pitcher by name, Canyon Sturtz, is the one that we always love to talk about. But just
I don't know if he's forgotten though.
But really, I feel like he kind of is. I'm just saying that the name is the one I think most about.
Canyon the Mannion Sturtz.
In terms of like the forgotten reliever that I liked watching pitch, I mean, I always think of the divisive Cody Epley, right?
Oh gosh,
it's got to be.
My dad is not gonna like that.
It's got to be one of those like 2010 to 2014. Like I don't know if Boone Logan's forgotten. He was a pretty big part of a lot of good teams. I don't know. Cody Epley was a righty, wasn't he? I like
the righty with lefty energy.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I like the righty specialists. Like we don't have enough righty specialists. We don't have enough lefty specialists anymore. But like I always think, righty specialist Cody Epley. It's a dying breed, and I love your dad. I can't wait to see him next week. And I just appreciated the petty energy of that hatred. It always intrigued me.
My dad hated Cody Epley. One time, Cody Epley gave up like a run, and my dad Googled, why is Cody Epley terrible? Mine's Amaury Sinead.
Yeah.
That's guy on the 2011 Yankees Sporkle. Shout out like Corey Guerin, Clay Rapata, Chris Bootcheck, guys of that ilk. From Sierra at Sierra Not Missed, who do you see having a breakout performance in the second half of the season? I mean, I feel like I'm already on the Trent Grisham and Ben Rice beat, so them. What about you?
Let's see. I mean, I feel like Grisham would probably be my pick. based on my bold prediction. Also, I just feel like he's going to have the lane to improve most upon the time that he's been playing. I just feel like the path is clear for him to have a breakout second half. I feel like Austin Wells is going to keep hitting better and really, I think for the first time at the major league level, start to establish himself as the number one guy. So to pick someone different, I'm going to say Wells.
I like that. From losses above replacement at LAR_baseball, I think this is an awesome question. If you could move the walls at Yankee Stadium, would you rather A, move the walls in when the Yankees are batting, or B, move the walls back when the Yankees are pitching? It's normal dimensions for the opposing team.
Okay, so it's like normal in or normal out, right? Like it's not like they're all in and they're all out.
Yeah. So when the other team is, if you pick that the walls are in when the Yankees are batting, the walls are normal when the other team is batting. If you pick that the walls are out when the Yankees are pitching, the walls are normal when the other team is pitching.
So even though I feel like the walls in is like the fun answer, I just feel like the Yankees don't need that. I feel like they are good enough to hit the ball over the wall without them being moved in. So I'm going to say out when they're pitching.
Interesting. I would pick in for two reasons. The first, or in when the Yankees are batting, for two reasons. The first is we know how important it is to out homer your opponent. And while moving the walls back when your opponent is hitting will make it harder for them to hit home runs, if they still hold you homerless, you haven't out homered them. So I want to increase the Yankees' chance of hitting any home runs, which is why I would move the walls in when the Yankees are batting. And the other thing is moving the walls back when the other team is hitting creates a bigger outfield, and having more outfield to cover can create just really high BABIP on balls to the outfield for the other team. And I don't know if I want that. I guess
fair.
It might depend on how far back you're moving the walls, but I don't know if I want that. So for those reasons, I would say move the walls in when the Yankees are batting.
Yeah, no, that's very fair. I mean, I think there's good arguments on both sides. I just think the Yankees have enough fly ball pitchers. I trust Aaron Judge and Juan Soto are going to hit it out no matter where the wall is. But it'd definitely be more fun to see them moved in.
That is fair.
Really small Yankee stadium.
Really tight. Now it's a bandbox.
Yeah.
There is a Marcus Stroman-sized elephant in the room. Friday night, Marcus Stroman was pitching for the New York Yankees against the Toronto Blue Jays, and he got Vladimir Guerrero Jr., future Yankee Vladimir Guerrero Jr., to hit a ball on the ground, kind of a mini hopper, to Anthony Volpe. Anthony Volpe flipped it to Gleyber Torres, who then threw it to first base in an effort to turn a double play. The Yankees did not turn the double play because Vlad beat the throw to first. As it turns out, Vlad's sprint speed on that play was like 70th percentile, and Gleyber's transfer was like 93rd percentile. So really, the ball just wasn't hit hard enough and didn't get to second in time to get to first in time. Marcus Stroman didn't see it that way. And Marcus Stroman yelled at Gleyber Torres in front of you, me, God, and everyone to throw the effing ball, bro. And then when he got to the dugout after, was yelling about not showing intensity and things like that. Putting aside that Marcus Stroman was obviously wrong about just the facts of what happened on the play, that Gleyber didn't do anything slowly, that Vlad was running pretty fast, that it was not an easy double play to turn by any means. I find it pretty ridiculous that Marcus Stroman reacted the way he did in that moment. And I don't like the way a lot of Yankees fans have responded to it. We've talked about the Yankees fan bloodlust frequently on this podcast. when they are frustrated, they want to see the Yankees, whether it is through Aaron Boone or through the players, be frustrated as well. And when their frustration is directed at a specific player, they want other people's frustration to be directed at that specific player. And a lot of people, in often this is not really deserved, but a lot of people have been frustrated with Gleyber. So a lot of people celebrated that Marcus Stroman also got frustrated with Gleyber Torres. And people have come up with a lot of theories about, well, hey, it doesn't matter what happened on that play. It's that people have just gotten so fed up with Gleyber and eventually it boiled over, and ridiculous stuff like that we could not possibly know. And people took comfort in the fact that their frustration was then mirrored in Stroman and directed at the right person. And I thought it was a terrible look. I don't think it's all that important, and I've said this, that teams be like really close or that guys really like each other. But I have always felt like there's something to not showing up your teammates when you're on the field. And that there's something to, and not necessarily as like, I'm not talking about even the wins and losses or like the strategy of it. Like, I don't think you will like end up with more or less war as a team if your pitchers like show guys up versus don't or whatever. I just think like there's some decorum you have to have as a member of a team to kind of expect and understand that guys are doing their best. And there are situations in which guys obviously are not, and we can talk about those situations, but this wasn't one of them. And I thought it was a really bad look from Stroman. I think that the Yankees fans who are celebrating it are extremely misguided, and they got their wish that something finally happened not behind closed doors, and it looked pretty terrible. And I think it's great that Gleyber Torres is playing better of late, and that anyone who's trying to connect it to his being benched for a couple days or his being yelled at by Marcus Stroman on a play in which he did everything right, I think those ideas are ridiculous. I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
I mean, for me, it's like you can't really support that play, or sorry, not that play. That you can't support what Stroman did and then also turn around and say, well, Carlos Rodon yelling at Matt Blake or turning on from Matt Blake on the mound or doing whatever. That everything that people don't like about Carlos Rodon, you can't say that's good. It's all the same vein of like showing people up, like you said. I think it's a bad look, and I know Stroman comes with that baked in, and I know it was addressed, and it seems like it's fine. I mean, we are, as much as we don't know about what we would like the Yankees to do, we don't know how they handle things like this. We only know what is told to us, and Aaron Boone probably tells us something a lot more sugar-coated than I'm sure what was actually went on. But like, this is Marcus Stroman, and I think you take the good with the bad. In no way would I say Marcus Stroman should keep doing this. And I think Marcus Stroman at least addressed it directly. And I feel like Rodon, in a lot of cases, like kind of danced around it or didn't. But at the end of the day, you end up in the same place. Like, it doesn't really matter how these guys address it. It doesn't matter what the situation is. It's all bad. Like, it's unprofessional. Yeah. And whatever you want to think about the leadership of the Yankees, the consistency is like not doing stuff like that. Whether you think that's good or bad, that's how they operate. And I think Marcus Stroman, for all of the excitement and energy he brings, like, you got to know that's not okay. I don't care like that your thing is being emotional. Just don't do that. It was so uncalled for. And I think he got off easy, considering like that if it was someone other than Gleyber Torres, I think people would have been mad. I think it's insane that people were justifying it by that way. But like, if I was Aaron,
imagine if imagine if he were yelling at Aaron Judge or Juan Soto or even one of the sacred cows, Alex Verdugo, DJ LeMahieu, or Anthony Rizzo or Anthony Volpe, like literally anyone else.
He's yelling at Volpe. Like, that's, somebody who's like, just looks like, he's like right out of like college. I mean, just for whatever it was, I think people were kind of looking at the outcome and not looking at the process. Like, the process is, don't do that. And it doesn't matter who you're yelling at. And I hope that it's addressed. I hope it doesn't happen again. To me, that's far worse than anything, like any bad play, any drop pop up, whatever that you don't like about what Gleyber Torres has done. Like, imagine if Gleyber Torres did that. Like, it's,
Oh my gosh.
right. Imagine if Gleyber started yelling. It's just insane. Like, put any other guy in that position. We shouldn't let certain guys get away with that, and definitely shouldn't be directed at poor players. So I know it's Marcus Stroman's thing, but I didn't like that either.
Your thing can't be showing up your teammates. Like,
yeah,
I regret to inform Marcus Stroman that his stats are intensely dependent on the quality of his infield defense, which has been quite good. Right. And if he's going to put that trust in those guys, he has to understand that they're doing what they can for him. And the last guy I would want to be burning a bridge with if I were Marcus Stroman is a middle infielder. Because I got to be honest, if I'm Gleyber Torres, and I'm not suggesting that this is happening, to be clear, but if I'm Gleyber Torres, am I motivated now to play better behind Marcus Stroman when making an objectively good play gets me lit up in front of, 40,000 people and whoever else is watching the game? Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous.
I also think, for better or worse, the starting pitcher is and should be judged on a higher standard than like in terms of like composure, in terms of performance. Yep. And that, I mean, he pitches once every 5 days. Like, you have to be the master. You're running the show. Like, everybody else is behind you. So I think I always expect starting pitchers are going to be the leaders of that day's game. And even though they might not be the best players, definitely not the guy who breaks down when things get rough. That's why I think the Stroman and Rodon things are like the, go back to like the AJ Burnett or whatever, whoever you're taking, like, when the starting pitcher kind of cracks, like, it, I think, is a lot more visible than like a position play or something. I know Marcus Stroman brings a lot of energy, but that's just it's not acceptable. If he wants to be on a winning team and be like just don't do that.
I'd also like to point out that Gleyber Torres in his last 171 plate appearances has a 114 WRC plus, because Gleyber Torres is, of course, good at baseball.
Yeah. I hope he keeps getting better. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. He's trending the right direction.
Yes, agreed.
Whipple, anything else you want to cover about what might go on in the next few weeks, given our coming hiatus?
I think we got to talk, because the All-Star game will come and go in our hiatus. Like, let's talk. Who do we think's on the team? What's our expectations for what's going to happen?
I think Judge, Soto, Heel, Holmes should all be All-Stars. Mm-hmm. I could see Volpe making it, although shortstop in the American League is an extremely deep position. Like, of course, you're going to have Gunnar and you're going to have Bobby Witt Jr. So you quickly get into a position where it's like, is there room for Anthony Volpe on this team? But he is 11th in the American League in WAR as well. So among qualified hitters, at least. So like, you kind of have to pay some attention to that. Anyone I didn't mention who you have on the team?
So I don't know, like, what the timing of everything is. Is there a way that like the players voted already and Stanton could have made it, but or is it like he's injured too far in advance and it's just not going to happen?
That's a great question. I imagine it is the latter, but yeah, I don't know.
Like, I would love to see that, and he just gets replaced automatically. Like, I don't know, just for the designation. He is a guy where I feel like the players would respect him and give him honor, but I don't know, like, if the timing takes him out of contention. I agree with the ones that you said. I agree with Volpe being on the borderline. I mean, we know that there's a lot of pitcher turnover that happens in this game. Yeah. So it's not crazy to me that like a Nestor or a Stroman gets like a down ballot players vote and then gets bumped up by like schedules and injuries and stuff. So
it's a real shame, because Clark Schmidt would have been on this team.
Right. Definitely would have been in that category. But I think like if there's anyone else coming in, it's going to be one of the guys that isn't at top of mind, but with the pitching turnover, like it is possible. But at the same time, 4 to 5 kind of feels right for this team. Yeah. For the Yankees, and with the one player rule, it's just a lot of all-star voting shenanigans. Like I think to me, like I expect 4 to 5, and I would be surprised if more than that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
How many did they have last year? Was it?
Oh gosh.
What? Like I remember 2022, they had the whole group go to LA.
Yeah.
And obviously last year Judge didn't go.
Only Judge and Cole last year.
Oh, right, because Cole was alone. I remember that because
Yep.
it was like I had if Cole my preseason desire for Cole to win Cy Young was traded by the rest of the team.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
So.
Yeah, the 2022 squad was awesome. Judge, Stanton, Cole, Nestor, Holmes, and Trevino.
And then 21, not to keep going back, but what was 21 was Judge, Cole,
Chapman.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that awesome start to the season.
Yeah, I remember. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be fun either way. I'm excited, and we'll see. You know, I don't know if any Yankees are doing the home run derby, but
doubt it.
Always be fun to watch.
Although Soto's done a home run derby or two, right?
Yeah, I did it, and again, so it was the Soto Ohtani at Coors Field a few years ago, and he won. He won in 23 or 22 or 23.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah,
I imagine he won't do it. Walkier home run derby with all the voodoo stuff that surrounds the home run derby feels a little bit not like something he would do. Obviously, Judge isn't doing it again. Stanton obviously is not doing it, and then there's not really another candidate. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see.
We shall. Well, Whipple, confidence. The Yankees are projected to be the best team in the American League by the Fangraphs playoff odds and by Pacoda. They have the most wins in the American League. They are tied for first in the American League East. Some things are going well and some things are going poorly. What do you see?
I'm gonna stay at a 9 because it's confidence for July. Like I think that the top end guys are still the top end guys, and if in my mind the last 2 weeks were like the team getting the bad games out of the way, and there's gonna be some better matchups ahead, easier series. I like playing the Reds this week. I think that's like a nice little soft landing out of a pretty tough stretch. But even in the upcoming weeks, I think there's some easier matchups. There's also some tough matchups. I mean, last series in Baltimore before the All-Star break is tough.
Yeah.
So it's like you never know. But I feel like this team is not the post 2022 second half collapse. Like that's not what I think is happening here. And it's going to be a dogfight, though. I don't think the separation that people want is going to happen. I'm prepared for this to be within a 3-game margin all the way down the stretch.
And you're just psyched about it because it feels like 2012.
I'm just psyched about it, man. I am stoked. The Yankees Orioles series in September, like I'm already gearing up.
Gonna be electric. I'm at a 9 as well. I think Cole showed a lot of good things his last time out. I'm excited about the Carlos Rodon pitch mix narrative, and I like leaning into it. With my guys, Ben Rice, Trent Grisham, and Gleyber Torres playing so well, I really can't be negative. There's a lot of discourse about like, oh, there are only 2 good hitters on this team. It wouldn't surprise me if Trent Grisham, Gleyber Torres, Austin Wells, and Ben Rice are all above league average hitters for the second half of the year, which would give the Yankees 6 at least above league average hitters, depending on what ends up happening with Giancarlo Stanton, of course. That number could grow. I think JD Davis could thrive in his platoon role, as we discussed last week. DJ LeMahieu has been hitting the ball hard, and he started hitting it in the air even. I don't want to read too much into like a couple games, but he's gotten a couple extra base hits. Things are generally moving in the right direction in an extremely small sample for him. So I think there's stuff to be optimistic about on the offensive side. And I think they'll find a way to hold it together through July pitching, and then they will add to the staff in whatever way that they do. They'll get Hamilton back. They'll get Efros back. Hopefully they'll get Clark Schmidt back. And we'll see what happens. So yeah, I think a 9 is appropriate. Whipple, we're about to take probably 4 weeks off. So I want to make sure you get everything in that you want to get in. Do you have any parting shots?
They're about to get JT Brubaker back. Don't
Hell
forget about
yeah, brother.
But parting shots is the last, after 116 episodes of Yankees Files, with us both legally being single, that's about to change. And so, I know we had a lot of fun, late nights in Yankees Files, just remembering some guys. So I just hope on the other side of this, you'll still make time for the occasional remembering some guys at off hours of the week. And no, I mean, in all seriousness, I'm super excited for the wedding next week. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait to see you in person and record whatever segment we record, probably like a 30-second to a minute live video while we've had some beverages. And I'm super stoked about that. But yeah, preemptive congratulations. And
thank you.
We'll all see you on the other side. I'm sure there will be some good stories. We might just have to do like a wedding segment next time to talk about everything that happened. But yeah, it'll be fun. I cannot wait. So nothing more important. Not even JT Brubaker is more important than your wedding.
Yeah, it's crazy. You're right. For 116 episodes and also my entire life, I have been unmarried.
Your life didn't start until this podcast. I mean, let's be real.
Yeah.
That
is, of course, the truth. That is, of course, the truth. Yeah, so it'll be cool. I'm excited. I think the wedding's going to be fun. I'm excited to spend some time across the pond afterwards. I hope that I come back to a Yankees team that is, firing on all cylinders, and we have a lot of good things to discuss in a few weeks. But Whipple, that wraps this up. Wraps up the last episode of Yankees Files, during which neither of us has a wife.
What if we came back and we both were married?
That would be crazy. Are you
Morgan just gave me a look. Okay, we gotta end it.
That's one of the funniest things that's happened on this podcast ever, I think.
That'll get us through 4 weeks of no content.
That is hilarious. So I assume the look she gave you was not a yes.
I can't speak anymore. I'm not allowed to speak.
All right. Well, we appreciate everyone listening, both to this episode and to the prior 115. You can keep up with everything we do at YankeesFiles.com. You can follow us on Twitter, where we are at YankeesFiles. Podcast is available wherever you get your podcast, with the inclusion of video. If you are a listener on Spotify, the whole video podcast goes up on the Crosstown Sports Network YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/@Crosstown Sports. You can also get the Battle of New York over there. Crosstown Sports on Twitter is twitter.com/crosstownsn. Give us a follow over there. Support everything we're doing. If you like the podcast, we hope you'll rate, review, subscribe, download, listen to it a billion times, and do everything to juice the numbers. If you don't like the podcast, we hope you won't leave mean reviews or bad ratings, and you'll just listen to it anyway and, tolerate it or whatever. Whipple, normally I go into the Yankees are going to play this team and that team, and we'll be back to recap the week that was. But I'm definitely not going to go through and promise that we're going to recap everything that happens against the Reds, Red Sox, Rays, Orioles, Rays, Mets, Red Sox. But we're going to talk about some of that. We're going to talk about the wedding. It'll be this time, this place, but in 4 weeks. Until then, let's go Yankees.